Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today we are going to talk about safeties. Now recently I saw a video where there were about 20 different safeties described. And it occurred to me watching this that you don't need 20. There's basically 5 different types of safeties that you're going to play. Of course, there are unlimited possible combinations of events that could happen at the table. But if you know the 5 things we're going to talk about today, you're going to cover about 80% of the safeties you're ever going to be presented with, and you're going to be well on your way to good safety play. Let's get started. You're on the 1 ball, you're playing 9 ball, and you do this. You bring the 1 ball down table and you hide behind the 6 ball. It's pretty good, right? But you don't need to do that. So let's look at a situation very similar to our opening shot. We have our cue ball at this end of the table, our 1 ball is at the other end of the table. Safety number 1, simply leave your opponent a difficult shot. That's what you're left with, right? And there's a very good chance your opponent doesn't play good safeties. So let's look at a couple things we could do here. We could simply bank the 1 down here towards the 4, which gives us 2 opportunities. We either cluster this and mess this all up, or we make the 4 and we're still on the 1 ball and we're in good shape. What happens to the cue ball is what is important here. So I actually could shoot a stun shot here, leave the cue ball at that end of the table, and just simply put the 1 down here where there's all kinds of mess going on. And I know some of you, you read comic books, you think that the 1 and the 9 is a combination. Okay, you give that a shot, but that is a very low percentage shot. And this is an instructional video. The 9 is not going to be there for you waiting all the time. So one of the first things that you need to learn is leave your opponent a difficult shot. And frankly, in most of the situations that you guys are playing, and a lot of the people that you're playing on league night, you're playing a lot of players that are relatively new to the game or relatively low ranked. That's fine. That's what they're there for, to have fun, right? But you leave them this shot, this is a safety. This is a legitimate safety. You leave this shot to someone. And I'll tell you something else. Kind of outside the scope of the video, but this is a good safety against most amateur players that are relatively new to the game. Because what are they going to do? They're going to shoot the 1 ball in the pocket, and they're going to have to make contact with that 3 to D you back up. And what's going to happen when they make contact with that 3? You got it, man. They are going to leave you out because they are going to break up the only cluster on the table that's keeping you from running out. Tip number 1, you don't always have to play a dynamic safety. Stop driving yourself nuts trying to hide like Efren behind balls when you're playing someone who's not going to run out on you or not going to run 2 or 3 balls in a row. So keep that in mind. Let's look at something else. So this is safety number 2, putting the cue ball behind an object ball. But you're not watching just any channel. We are going to, number 1, look at the situation and say, hey, I can make this 1, but I can't make the 1 and break up that cluster because I'm going to be on the 3 next. So this is useless. This is what we call a wasted move by putting the 1 ball in that pocket and then having to play a safety over there where it's a lot more difficult. So that's number 1. Just because you have a shot, you don't have to shoot it. Number 2, it is very easy to get behind this 4 ball where they have to jump or kick or something that most players are not pretty good at. So that's the other thing. But the bonus is, what if instead of trying to get the 1 ball down table, we break up that cluster? Now we're putting ourselves in a situation where we hid them behind the 4, we broke up the cluster, and when we get ball in hand, because we're a favorite to get ball in hand against most players, when we get ball in hand, we will have 1 less obstacle to worry about. So we could literally bank this into the cluster. The way I do this is I imagine that's my pocket. And I'm just going to shoot it with a stop. I'm behind the 4. I broke up the cluster. So this is a great situation because I'm probably going to get ball in hand. And if I'm playing a true banger, he's even going to spread those out for me while he's trying to hit the 1. So we have a really good situation here. We're going to get ball in hand, and the balls are now spread out. So here's a situation where it's not easy for us to hide the cue ball, but we might be able to hide our object ball. Once again, everybody wants to bank the one here. What does that get you? It gets you nothing because you're still locked up over here on this 3 ball. Stop shooting shots that aren't going to get you out, guys. It doesn't work. It's useless. And then you're the sucker that breaks up the cluster for the next guy. But what if we took this target-rich environment over here and sent our 1 ball behind those object balls? All we have to do is send it down here off of this rail, go between those 2 balls, and in the same time, we bring our cue ball back here. This increases our chances of doing what we were trying to do. We put our opponent in a situation where they're going to have to come up some really good kick, which puts us in scenario number 4, hiding the cue ball and the object ball. So basically what we just did, if you can do both, you're in pretty good shape. What's better than a 2-way safety? A 3-way safety. Okay? 3 ways are good. The right combination. Anyway, here it is. We have a situation where we could cut to 1 here. That would work. A lot of players would do that. They wouldn't be wrong. But I'm going to interfere with my 3 ball. I'm not sure how I'm going to end up in position. If I don't have that cut shot on the 1, I've got something that looks like that. There's a couple things that can happen here that are good. 3 good things can happen. Number 1, I bank the 1 into that pocket and I'm on the 3. Number 2, I bank the 1 and it doesn't go in that pocket and I'm behind the 4. You see what's going on here? They're all good situations. So let's play the shot. Left myself a long reach. I'm going to shoot a stop shot on this to make sure I'm behind the 4. If somehow I manage to miss, I would not leave my opponent a shot because I left the cue ball here behind the 4 ball. Now I'm out because I've got the 3 sitting right here. There's a lot of 2-way situations that come up that you guys need to identify and take advantage of, because once again, just because you could make that ball doesn't mean you should. Keep that in mind. Look for those situations. They're beautiful. One of the questions I'm going to get is, Bryan, how do I shoot a kick and stick safety? Those of you that don't know what we're talking about, this is the shot. I can't hit the 1 straight on, and I want to separate the 1 and the cue ball. I send the 1 ball down here, ends up behind these balls. My cue ball stays down there, ends up behind the 4. If the cue ball ended up over here or anywhere, still no shot. No shot anywhere along this way. So how do you shoot the kick and stick? What you want to do is, first off, visualize the angle that you want to hit that 1 ball. Because when you come off of this rail, you have to come off at the right angle. If I go too wide, I run into this 4 ball, which might or might not even be on the table when I shoot it. But visualize the shot coming in and what kind of angle it's going to take here. Advanced players will have an easier chance visualizing that than beginner players, but at the same time, that's got to be step number 1. Step number 2, don't shoot it with center ball, don't shoot it with draw, don't do anything like that. You hit it with top. It'll come off the rail. You don't have to hit it hard to get that 1 ball back down this end of the table. And if you have traffic down here, it's ideal, because very often you'll either end up clustering up that 1 ball, whatever ball it happens to be, you'll end up clustering it up. Or in this case, even if we had made it somehow, guess what? 2-way shot, we're on the 3 ball. Thanks for watching. Check out this video if you really want to see something good. And don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.